former spokesperson of the Labour Party, Kenneth Okonkwo, said that Obi is being economical with the reasons why he left the ADC, as against all the things he gave. As a matter of fact, he summarized by saying that Obi has a morbid fear of contesting primaries. How do you react to this?
You see, people have talked about being consistent in what you say. At one time, Kenneth said Obi was the best. At one time, he said Atiku had criminal past and used money to buy primaries. And another time, he's back to Atiku. I've never done such life. I've always been consistent. If I'm supporting Obi, I support. If I'm not supporting, you will never hear that I supported the person, or I go back to talk about the people. I don't bring leaders to TV to talk about them. What I do is principle. And I think that Kenneth is not right, and maybe does not have the information, because he recently joined politics, and he was able to be appointed as one of the spokesmen, and that's what gave him the limelight, the popularity that he has today. So, but for some of us who've been here, I know the primaries that brought to be up in Abga was widely was strongly contested. It was even done by option A4. Obi won. So I do not want to mention the person who contributed to the renting of offices across Anambra at the time was my friend, still remain my friend and ally, Chief Raf Okenwosu. He knows. I know his contribution to Abga, but eventually Obi won, and we should accept that Obi contested primaries and won. And we should not be looking at, why did Obi leave PDP? The same reason people are complaining today that PDP is dying. It was because Obi was based on principle. Obi said, no, it is the son of the South. You must zone it. So he said, if you are not zoning, I'm leaving. That's why I left, to talk about turn. And when it's the turn of the North, Obi will stand by the North. That is the turn of the North. And he did it in 2019 by standing with Atiku. People talk Atiku appointed Obi. All the vice presidential candidates Atiku have abandoned. Go and look at the vote Atiku got in the election. And look at what he got when he contested with Obi. You look at it, you must follow data. Data is very critical in analyzing our national politics. Look how he got more votes running with Obi than he got with any presidential candidate, any vice presidential candidate. And they are trying to look as if the primaries in Port Harcourt, that Obi did not play a part in trying to make Atiku candidate. People just continue to hide behind one finger and tell all kind of narratives so that people will think they're not seeing them. Kenneth Okonkwo should come to the reality that Obi is fighting for the northern slot, and that when this time for northern slot ends, southern slot ends, and the son of the north, Obi will stand by the north. And Kenneth should accept that the fact that Obi still remains the most credible candidate is because of his character, his competence, and his ability to accommodate all. Because if you look at from the Presidential Campaign Council, those who worked for him, even Kenneth had the best position at the time. Today, Atiku is cutting him. They didn't cut him in 2023. They didn't cut him in 2019. They are cutting him now. Because he has become a material that was molded, that was given opportunity to fly by Peter Obi.
But you can argue that Peter Obi did not make him, per se.
Look, let me tell you, Kenneth was a popular actor. You give that to him. He was very good. I used to watch him as a very younger person. But in politics, his acting days, this young generation cannot remember. They can't remember. It was the popularity of being spokesman that brought the people who were born in 2000, people were born in 2001, people were born in 1997. Remember that there was somebody. Most people can't remember his acting days. Those older people like us could. You can, but young people didn't. They couldn't relate with it. So I don't think that we should go about. I think what Kenneth should do, and others like Dele Momodu, who is on rampage, talking about Peter Obi everywhere, is to sell their candidate. They have a responsibility to talk about what their candidate stands for. And Nigerians have seen that their over-concentration of opinion on Peter Obi as something as if they are scared, as if they are in panic mood that Obi is the answer to the 2027 election as it was in the 2023. They are in panic mood. Because if I have a product in the market to sell, I should be concentrating the airtime I have in trying to diminish the product of my competitors. Because at the end of the day, what you put more in the public is what the people see. So they'll continue to see Obi. Because in journalism, in fact, in politics, there's nothing as bad publicity. That's why you can see controversial politicians that are popular than those who are straightforward. Because they can say today and then say another thing tomorrow. They are very popular. They are very popular. But if you put them on the table with Nigerians to discuss about their content, their credibility and integrity, Nigerians will reject them. But they are popular. Popularity does not mean integrity. It doesn't mean competence. It doesn't mean their acceptability. So they keep on discussing about Obi because they know that Obi leaving ADC has weakened the chances of ADC by over 60% and has created opportunity for the NDC to become the new bride of the Nigerian people. Because Obi has the enthusiasm behind him, he has the momentum of the people, he has the excitement of the people, and he has the trust of the people. Because how can you tell me a man who left governor since 2000 and for over the last 10 years, they can't find anything to arrest him on? They have investigated him and turned him upside down. They are collecting his property in Lagos. He's not fighting. He's going through the law, whether people believe in law or not, to be always believe in the law. They are doing all sorts of things to try to undermine him. You don't see him shouting. You don't see him insulting Atiku. You don't see him insulting anybody who Bola Ahmed Tinubu that is contesting against. Obi has always been about the issues. Where is our money? Where is the money generated? Where are you spending it? What is happening with the contract awarded? Why are you not paying local contractors? Why are people suffering? Why is the cost of living so high? Why is out of the pocket expenses for civil servants? Why has it become something that they cannot survive with? These are the issues. These are how politics should be played. And they don't want to learn. They want to continue to talk about thinking that by telling lies, they will be able to reduce Obi. No, people are already convinced. People are already buried their interest that Nigeria must work for the good of our people. That's why you can see a candidate like Obi, they should test their popularity now. Candidate like Obi can go to a party, there is no councillor, local government chairman, no governor, no president. And they end up coming up with 6-something million votes after the several deductions. Because people tell me that, oh, you said the result was stolen. I say it was stolen. I still believe it today. Because it was announced legally does not mean it was the truth. Because there are reports from Premium Times, there are reports from BBC that you can verify and see what happened in Rivers State and other states like Lagos. So clearly, even if you now say you are going to an election and say Obi has 6.1 million votes, because you have stolen some of those votes, you will panic more because you know those people that you have stolen their vote are still going to repeat that same vote. and this time Obi will not allow what he allowed in 2023. He will not allow any party officials to undermine him from not putting his agent across. He will not allow the fact that he will not open his eyes and allow Pepe to be put inside. Obi will make sure that the vote of the people this time will be defended. And we're all together. And Nigerians too must take responsibility. Because we cannot get this country working. We cannot get it working if we fold our hands and surrender to these people who have hijacked government.
All right. Some argue that his leaving the ADC will tend to weaken the opposition in giving the APC a rerun for their money in 2027.
It is a mistake. People don't, they're not good students of history. 2023 should be a better time for them to know. Like I've told you earlier, Obi contested with Atiku. He had the highest vote out of all the vice presidential candidates he has used in the past. In 2023, Obi contested alone and had, a major vote, a major turnout. That's why what happened to him. The people who are going to vote for Obi are not likely going to vote for Atiku, are mostly not going to vote for Atiku. And that's why you can see, people take offense when people say Obi or nothing. It is a conviction that I believe in this man. It is the final thought of the people that I believe the solution will come from Peter Obi. That is why it's not as if they are doing it to undermine anybody. No, they're not doing it to undermine anybody. They are doing it to tell you categorically that I believe that the hope and future aspirations of Nigerians, young, old, and yet unborn, have been invested in the hands of this man. And based on his character of discipline, this is what he should do. And so if you look at that, it has reduced the chances of the opposition. It's not true. The voter registration in 2023, did you see how high it was ahead of when Obi the camp? It was because people wanted to vote. People were determined to vote. So a lady in Lagos was attacked by some thugs. She got injured. I'm trying to remember her name. She went back home, got treated, and came back to vote. It was conviction. It was belief. That this is what, look, I don't want to be ambivalent at this time. That a lot of Nigerians don't want to be ambivalent, just like me, I'm standing on the fence and say, whatever will happen to Nigeria happen. People are now determined to say, look, we need to know what want to happen to Nigerians by investing our time.
All right, he's a vice presidential candidate in 2023 election, Datti Ahmed. strongly criticized Obi's movement to the ADC, and he said his penchant for living when there are internal crises does not signpost the qualities of a great leader. What do you think?
Obi tried to fix the Labour Party. There's no doubt. Obi is not a... Obi can't change what the refusal of the INEC to obey Supreme Court judgment. Obi can't change that. Obi can't change that. There were federal state high court. Do you know INEC is established by Section 133? And those enjoining employment in INEC is by Section 155 or Section 1C. But INEC honored a state high court from Nasarawa, the judgment from a state high court, when INEC is a federal executive body, and she only honor judgment from federal high court. So why will Obi have changed that? I think that when you are married to somebody and somehow you love the person too much, and the person now decide to leave and move on with a new life, you as a lover, you will feel pain. There's no doubt about that. And you have to ask that. I do not want to, I don't like to talk about anybody at all in a way that we undermine them. There was an election in 2023 now. He has a polling unit result now. He has a ward result now. He was a vice presidential candidate now. He should flash it before the people. I can bring my ward result for 2023 where I contested. I can bring my polling unit result and everything around there. So he should stop talking out of anger. If he has the interest to contest, let him contest and show up. Obi did not leave ADC because he cannot contest in the primaries. For me, before he joined, I saw the gang up. I told him, he's alive, you can ask him. I said, don't join. I'm saying this on the air because I don't know. I know it to be offensive to a friend of mine, Chief Rafumosu, but he knows my sincere intentions. That I will never do anything to harm him because he has been there for me as a friend. He has been supportive of all my crises I had while I struggled politically. But the truth must be said. I saw the gang up and I met Obi in presence of people. Aisha Yusuf can testify that I said these things. That look, don't go to the ADC except they agree to zone. I asked him. He said, no, let it not look as if I don't want to go. Let me go. I said, no, except they agree to zone, don't go. Because it is turn of the South. Because even if you do, the Southerners will call you betrayer. Don't let people betray you. Don't let people call you betrayer because you are a very principled man. I told him this, and that's why I didn't join him. So today, somebody like Dele Momodu, he's afraid of primaries. Dele Momodu went to NCP, to National Conscious Party to contest for presidential election. There was PDP that time. Now, was he afraid of the primaries? There was other parties. So political party membership is the fact that it's drawn in Section 40, that you belong to a party that protects your interest. This is what the Constitution said, interest. It is not us that created, it is in the Constitution that interest matters. So when people talk without doing proper investigation or evaluating the decision, or they speak from the side of their own selfishness to say, oh, Atiku must be the candidate. Atiku has been candidate before. They keep on telling you it's only Atiku that can win, Atiku that can win. Atiku didn't win. They have always said this every time he was presented as candidate. He has not won. So let's try somebody now that is a new kid on the block that people have interest in. Go to communities, go and do voice properly. You know that the voice of the people is the voice of God. That people have decided to commit their resources, their time and energy to seeing that a reality occurs. You cannot have somebody who is not financially frugal, who does not have discipline. Look at whatever Lincoln you did, though a benevolent dictator, was the fact that him himself sacrificed those benefits to make sure that the country worked. So today we have that candidate, and every person from the opposition, instead concentrating on the failure of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, instead looking at how Bola Ahmed Tinubu has managed our economy, how he's gallivanting around the world, without looking at the macroeconomic indices that will help our small and medium scale enterprises to grow, they are concentrating on Obi. There's a problem there from the opposition. Obi is not concentrating on them. Obi is concentrating on the people. So there's a problem. I think these guys, whether it's Dele Momodu, whether it's Kenneth Okonkwo, whether it's Yusuf, whether it's Saliu, they are missing the point. They should not be behaving like jilted lover. You know, they should be able to sit down and look at what do we have to sell. We have article to sell. Go and sell it. There are still other northerners in the southerners in the ADC now. Market them. And let Obi market himself.
Datti also said that Obi Kwankwaso tickets will not be a good product in the north.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with it. But Kwankwaso have shown some level of resilience. I don't believe that Kwankwaso should have been announced as a vice presidential potential until Obi emerged as candidate. I don't believe that. But you can't just write Kwankwaso off and compare Kwankwaso, potential with that of that. You understand? Kwankwaso have lost the election in Kano, came back with the same candidate and won the same election without government, despite the suppression, the attacks, the use of state power against that election. He still won and brought people into House of Reps, Senate, and co. The same Obi did that times 10, raised to power 10. But then Kwankwaso did his own. And Kwankwaso is not somebody you can just write off. He's an outside man. He's from the north. So he has his own trademark cut out for him. And he's respected among the Talakawas, the poor people. They respect him a lot. The kind of scholarship he has given, the kind of things he has done to help the downtrodden, trying to look at the Amonikalu idea of politics. I think he's a good candidate. But like I said, I do not believe that he should have been announced as a vice presidential candidate until a primaries is conducted, so that it won't look as if somebody was already chosen even before the match started.